Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the Bitcoin charts. So we got that push to the upside at 27,243 and the wick all the way up to the 427 region, hitting the highs of this vector candle completely before rejecting and coming all the way back down beneath to that breakout range high area of this June 17th level that we burst out above. Let's go ahead and see what the liquidity suggests in high block capital. What is high block? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss. And we get to see where those stop loss characters lie in wait and or got burnt to a crisp. So let's do that now, shall we? By the way, hit the like button and subscribe for more, since this device of high block is not free. Alright, so they pinged in a bunch of shorts here to the tune of 67 million, 45 million, 50 million, all of these 100x pools leading from that 26836 region, and they came up into the external liquidity range that we had marked off from long ago, which we'll get into later, and then they exhausted off of those carcasses of the shorts.
Fatality.
And that is when they started to meander around and wick-whack the 100xers, and then they said, you know what, flush it, and then they just flushed the entire range of the 100x and 50x that are in here. Don't know the total in total here, but it says $5.4 billion taken down to 2.6, so they took 2.6 of that 5 billion back.
Fatality.
And yeah, now they're stabilizing within that and possibly coming lower as they trapped some more of their 25x friends and 50x friends down here for that entire retrace down to those people who didn't pay themselves, perhaps. So let's go ahead and expand our vision to the external liquidity pool to see what's up. Shout out to everyone here. Ohayo, Dingo. Ohayo gozaimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Korekara mo yoroshiku. Yes, I can speak Japanese. I've been living in Japan for over 20 years. I think Dingo is also on the island over from mine though. So yeah, what's up, Dingo? We're in the Asian session now, 8:35 a.m. in Tokyo. Alright, external range. So we talked about the possibility of coming up and sweeping this 27k region, and they came slightly higher up into the 27.4 and then fatigued and came down. The imbalance now to the downside. If you come down to that 20, let's switch this to max liquidity, please. Thank you. On the 7-day time frame, you do have some 10 billion plus, basically $20 billion imbalance to the downside. I wish it showed the total for you so you don't have to total it up. It should just have a total like 20 billion imbalance to the downside. Note to high block, if you're paying like, you know, $70 a month, you know, you could do a little bit of a totaling and the imbalance factor beneath it all. Similar to the 1 minute, you know, they have that down here that I can hover over. Why can't you do it on this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? On the monthly time frame, you do have an imbalance still draw basically 60 billion up to the 28.6, so this could be a little bit of a retrace. If our final target is up here or even higher, you could still make a move up higher. Do not be fooled as you expand your vision to the monthly and see the imbalance up at 28k. And you can also rest assured of the drop as well if you're in the short to see that, wait a minute, we got $60 billion pools in a single zone that total more than that 28k region. And then on the 6 month as well, you have $173 billion down to 24.3. And if you expand your vision all the way to the 2 year, then you see that $253 billion down to 23.6 is much closer than the 33.2 regions, which have the 600 billion. So do we come back down, sweep that area, and then make our way up there? You go down to go up, and go up to go down. So which one is it? On today's Tuesday, September 19th, let's go ahead and go back to the monthly and head into the charts. Okay, so what were we seeing yesterday when we talked about the third hit to the high? Ultimately, we did say that it was going to go up, and it did. Okay, so we were looking at a daily cloud. That's what this curvature was. The cloud was holding on the daily time frame, and we were seeing an hourly cloud kind of fade. And then we were saying, no, most likely you're going to get a surge up to that pool. You get that third hit to the high. They went up to the high, and they went to that trend-based fib level for the win. We were talking about how to do trend-based fibs. So coming back, to that 236 holding, we saw it hit once, twice, and maintaining, and then now we went up all the way to that third zone, the 27.418 region hit to a T. We're off by what? 8. We were off by $8 on that level there, but if we probably adjust the wicks, it might be perfect actually, but who knows. So either way, that's why you look for the third hit, and you have a plan for where it will reject and if it will reject. And then if you're like, well, it negated that idea, let's see what it does up in this region, and then it negated this idea. This was the pool we were talking about from a previous zone, which was reclaimed, and then it did close out candles above that 27K region. So you would have observed in the moment where the fatigue was occurring potentially off of this one region, and whether it would come back into these regions. Now you're getting a kind of rejection off the 0.65 and the 706 over here, so are we going to see a deep retrace into this region? Let's go ahead and throw on our oscillators. Heads up display is on. What is this little bit of happiness? MomentumMaster.info, link in the description for more. You can toggle everything at your leisure if you need. See Bitcoin at the bottom before we read the bottom, or you can read about each component as it comes into prominence. Alright, so you're getting these 5 time frames oversold on the hourly time frame. You're coming up above the channel here, and the baseline's crossed down on the hourly. The down was not necessarily at this angle when this candle, before this candle arrived, so we have to go to a lower time frame to see where that actually occurred, and that was on the 15-minute. Gave you the exact top here, and you were watching the baselines suppress the price all the way down. So you can sometimes just take the baseline for what it's worth and see if it plays out with the helix symbol here. You can get those alerted to your phone as well. So if you're in a time frame of your scalping nature, you can go over to Master A, and then you can basically add alert, and you can say any cross or the baseline crossed over or cross under, and it will let you know about that on that time frame. Coming up above the channel and crossing down like this. Now we're starting to get 2 time frames oversold, but we still have the fatigue of the higher time frames that is now setting in perhaps. So let's go ahead and take a look at the daily. We had a huge wick off of that piercing of the cloud here. We pierced up to the super trend level on the daily. So the daily time frame super trend, bearish super trend that we were talking about, if we come up to that super trend, do we reject here? We can go back and replay that. We talked about this super trend and saying we rejected off it once. If we come up to this region, do we reject off it a second time? This is the bearish super trend level, back tested to be more than accurate, more than enough of the time. So that is also one region to look at. Cloud is now took a good chunk out of it by piercing it like a battering ram, and then the first hit on the door gets blocked, and it starts to come back. And does it come back down completely down into this region to recoup force, regenerate its forces down here, and then come back again for a second time and then come out? I don't know, just theorizing at the moment, spitballing if you will. So the rising sun event is coming up to the 50 level and starting to taper ever so slightly on the daily time frame. The money flow and the RSI coming to an equilibrium state at 50. The oversold nature of the stochastic RSI after previously having bullish divergence that took us to the upside, and those rocket ships that we had last Monday that played out with like a T as usual. So minus that SpaceX sell-off. So that was one manipulation that happened. It's always the manipulations where the rockets don't occur, like the Gemini Vanguard attack on Luna and all that other stuff. But overall, they're generally back-testable levels. So we have this, the RSI, sorry, the money flow is above the RSI on the 22, suggesting you could come down a little bit here, and the Williams now in an overbought region, which could create an alarming event like this and start to meander around and reset itself and fatigue potentially. If we go to the 12-hour time frame, we're going to see that the 12 hour is doing very much of the same, overbought on the stochastic. Money flow above the RSI ever so slightly could start coming down and making a Williams cascade here. We got 16 minutes for this 12-hour candle to close, and it will close with a large volume red vector candle. Do we come back and start to kiss this cloud down here at 25.9, basically the 26K region? It did start to shift, but we never properly retraced into this region. We can adjust this up to the wickety wick to be fair about it, and then this brings us down into to make this the entire leg if we retrace down into the 618 here. So this changes the math, so we move this up to have the math be according. If we do retrace down, now the 618 would be the 25.854 region on this impulse out. If we go to the 6 hour time frame, 6 hour time frame possibly getting suppressed here on this premature takeoff. At the 50 level, you could make it this continuation of this Williams reset on the stochastic and the Williams suppression as it starts to reset down. Coming to the 4 hour starting to hard reset on the stochastic RSI, the money flow in the RSI, money flow slightly above the RSI, suggesting it could come down with the suppression of the KD lines here and the Williams as well. If we look at the super trend, the super trend is holding since the rocket ship takeoff on Tuesday, and we're starting to see this come up to the cloud zone here. So we have about $200 of price action before we start to negate that. The tapering of the trend cloud is interesting to note. We had a previous bounce off of that from our live, which we were looking at. So this was that what was that cloud? Had to be the daily. Yeah. So we were looking at the daily possibly scooping up the price action, which it did. It's now starting to come back down off this sell-off wick, so the angle is starting to come down beneath this preemption point, continuing in this manner, perhaps. Staving off the nature in which it occurs, so we could be seeing more of a reset, kind of bleed out down to that 236 level. Let's go back to the hourly real quick. So that was that price action getting scooped up by that daily cloud kind of thing. And if we look at the failure of the cloud here on the hourly, this could be your ABC idea to go a little bit lower. Low rider, it gets a little bit lower. It's nice to see prominent streamers not necessarily jump on the bull candles on a Monday like that. They were kind of executing pause with their trading group as well, telling them not necessarily to enter the tops here, so some people can learn that it doesn't always continue forever over time. So many times I remember they would give out Mario flags here and just get wrecked for their group and everyone there. So yeah. Anyway, so moving on, the areas in which it could come down to if this is the impulse retrace idea, if it never gets above this level. Technically you went up to here though, so we just say that is the level. So we are breaking the 236 of this bearish trend based fib level, so coming down to the 26.2 or below down to this region on this impulse does not necessarily seem absurd to think, especially with the liquidity down below. We got about 26,308, a nice little chunk of change down there. All of the 100x and 50x start to taper down at 26k, 25.94. So 25.94 would be just at the bottom of the 1382 region. So that lines up nicely with the math, if I do say so myself. I said I do think that there are liquidation events down below. I said, yeah, sorry. So do they come down to this region? They never reclaim some of this liquidity pool we marked off that was noteworthy, that's lost to Father Time, which also comes into this golden pocket region. So yeah, looks like the math is lining up to continue lower. Based off the sell-off, the conviction is just not there to continue. So they came up to this region. We'll still leave this up because the 236 is still holding until it doesn't. Once this 236 gets negated, then we'll delete this and reassess. So that seems to be the case right now as we reset some time frames. Tuesday, Wednesday, let's go into the dollar yen. See if there's something going on with that. It wicked into our fair value gap zone that we had for you before it zoomed up there. We must have had that way back here on September 8th or before. So that's the accuracy of the fair value gap ruse from over here. I think I got that on like a 2-minute time frame, and there's another one up here that we have yet to come back to. So do we regroup and start to come back to that at some point? Getting oversold on the 5 time frames, oversold idea. Let's go into the higher time frame. It's very interesting how the dollar is just basically every time it gets oversold, it just keeps rising in this unnatural way that is very rising wedge-like in nature. You know, it's just a descending channel straight up. I guess they're taking their profits on a lot of their assets, trimming like a bonsai tree, taking off here, as taking off there, taking off here, taking off there. The Fed did say they would be liquidating some of their assets, and they would the key takeaway the last time they said they would not increase rates is they were saying, well, we would be taking profits on some of our assets and investing them. So, you know, if the Fed is just playing the money manipulation game and they invest down here, for example, in March, and they ride it all the way up on NASDAQ, and then they just start trimming and putting that money back in the dollar, that would cause the unnatural rise of the dollar as they keep the value of the dollar strong. It's all about keeping the value of the dollar strong with the Fed, so they just use the retail liquidity to trim the hedges and put it back in. VIX artificially suppressed, which shows the volatility, you know, getting a bunch of rocket ships that don't play out. My dad was talking about how the VIX is at these lows, and it generally insinuates some sort of volatility inbound when you start to get to these low zones. You know, back in 2020, you had, you know, a huge surge up around the regions. We're in now. Don't quite understand the VIX, but it's something to do with fear and greed, and when you get low, it's kind of insisting that a trend shift volatility-wise might be in, so to beware kind of thing. Still need to look into it more, if I'm being honest. And yeah, the dollar index still looking to potentially rise some more, showing no signs of abating on the strength. There is no money flow index for the dollar because the volume is not present. This is one thing to note on volume indicators that claim to be volume based. If they are volume based, they will not show up on the DXY. So if they show up, then it's not looking at volume. So this is looking at volume and stuff, so it does not show up here. But you did have bearish divergence which started to play out. Are we going to see a continuation of that idea on the dollar? If we look at the 3-day, William still coming up in a manner here. Five-day closes in 4 days. First of all, we had some bearish divergence on the 12-hour that's starting to express itself. Possible cross-down event of the Williams on the 12-hour time frame, so we could be seeing a 12-hour dump easy a manner here. Previous one got bought back up over the course of the week and then shot back up on that Thursday into Friday. So we could see some more of that manipulation as that was when options expired and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see. We had a gold rocket ship. I remember looking at it with the group. Where was that? It was down here. Yeah. Right. There it is. Rocket ship. Do the rocket ships even work on gold? Relatively speaking, this is a little bit of a drawdown, but that one was pretty spot on. And yeah, so let's go back to Bitcoin dominance and bid you adieu. My kids are off from school today. We went to Costco last night, so I was driving back from Costco. It was a little bit tiring, if I'm being honest, and then I was working on this new thing for Momentum Master, which I'll throw on towards the end, still, kind of being tested. But I did take it out for a spin on last night's live for NASDAQ futures. I call it the Momentum Master Light because it's giving you a light and dark synopsis to highlight different things. It's a play on words because it's a light version of everything here, but also it highlights stuff that's important. Alright, so Bitcoin dominance starting to come down in a manner here, at least testing the weighted moving average here, just after coming up to the top of the channel. And if we go to the daily time frame suggests you could come down to the kiss the cloud a little bit, giving back some of the dominance to the alts, perhaps. Let's see how the alts want to hold suit. The alts did take a bit of a rise and maintaining that rise over the weekend. So from Tuesday into now, it's been seeing a rise in the altcoin trading. So the alt's getting a little bit of a jolt of confidence, hence why the dominance of Bitcoin is dropping. So the USDT dominance also dropping a little bit here off the 786 level, meaning that, and then a continuation drop. So people are reinvesting their money into the alts, obviously, and then Bitcoin went up as well. So you saw a little spike in the dominance, but overall it looks like the alts are starting to see a little bit more love since essentially Tuesday of last week. So people were prematurely entering alts in spite to after that spike up of the rocket ship takeoff. So starting to see a little bit of a bounce, but at the top of the channel here on the alt total 3 could be getting a rejection off the cloud yet again, and then seeing a descent back down into the channel. So it's make or break time. The daily time frame is overbought. Money flow above the RSI here, so realistically speaking, you could see a retrace on the altcoins as well. That was a little bit of a spike into the shorts. We went over that for Matic. Let's go over what we were looking at for Matic for my man the other day. It was on a Coinbase KuCoin chart, I think. Matic KuCoin. There we go. It wasn't the perpetual. Was it Matic? I wish I could remember. I thought it was Matic. No, XRP. It was XRP. Sorry. I mix them up sometimes in my head because they seem very similar in terms of validity yet don't go anywhere. It's like everyone likes to talk about it, but then it never really comes to fruition. But all right, so let's go into what was happening with that. We talked about a retracement into the pool. Let's see if we got it. We did. So we were talking about it over the weekend. Yes, that's what it was. It was on the weekend. And then so going into the weekend, we were talking about Matic retracing into this pool. And what do you know? It came back to near letter down to that 50 or that 48.7 region. We were talking about 48.6, so we were off by a fraction of a cent and it started to shift out from that point. So if you had waited nicely till that region we gave, you did spawn some bullish divergence on the money flow as well. So shout out to the XRPers that were asking about that over the weekend. That did play out. Boom, rejection of that downward hit played out nicely. Alright, so where does it go from there? I don't know, but that was insinuating how the alts were taking their rise, retrace, continuation idea, getting rejected now off of the bearish trend base, bearish super trend / adaptive here. Do we come to, back to the levels? So as it stands right now, similar to how XRP did that on Sunday, it's looking like Bitcoin could be doing very much the same as they chop around and this cloud is still thick. Do we make our way down to this region? Let's go see if you guys have any questions, comments, anything of the like. Once again, the 236-226-770 needs to start having some conviction beneath that for me to see this as valid, but so far you had a very nice A wave down. So, and we just closed out the candle beneath it. So this curvature of the hourly could be your bearish retest there. We did close out the daily candle above the cloud, so that's interesting to know. Do we meander around and start to curve this cloud a little bit? We'll be here for you always, every single day. 2 streams a day. Not many streamers out there that do that, I would say. But we're gonna do it anyway, so we might as well do it live. We're gonna do it live. So there you go. All right, well, thank you for stopping on in, Dingo and Horse Farm Trading and Spragadocious. Thank you very much. So we'll see if this goes down to that region. The liquidity does suggest that those 50Xers are getting to get their tatters, their wares tattered and torn, perhaps. We'll see. So that's all she wrote. Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share, an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in. And we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff. And we'll catch you for the NQ Futures live trading later on today for me, but tomorrow for you Westerners. And